The reality is, there's so much competition.
Right.
Yun. Mahirap maging unique. So, sa mundo na mahirap maging unique, paano ang laban?
Paano nga ba?
Secret. No, just kidding.
Kumusta mga kakwentuhan? Jay Olos here, and welcome to One CFO's Kwentuhan Podcast Season 2. And this season, we will be addressing the key growth challenges that are being faced by businesses in the Philippines. And we will be sharing real solutions, real talk with entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders. So, handa na ba kayo? Kung handa na kayo, tara na, no? Marami sa atin ang merong dream of building a consumer product brand, lalo na with the rise of online selling, no? Pero aminin na natin, it's not always a smooth ride. There are definitely roadblocks along the way. And that's exactly what we are going to deep dive into today. Our special guest is one of the OGs, no, in the industry, a disruptor, and she's been helping various brands not just to survive, but to truly thrive. So I would like to introduce to you our guest, our special guest for this maiden episode of our Season 2, Miss Geeta Gopalan, the CEO and founder of Agile Brands. Hi, Geeta.
Hi, Jay.
Welcome to Kwentuhan Podcast. So for the sake of our listeners and watchers, Geeta, so can you tell us something about yourself, a little bit of introduction about your background?
Sure. So, my name's Geeta. For most of my career, I've been focused actually sa tech. Doon ako mas nag-umpisa. Tapos, nangyari back in 2017 ata, mga ganong time. I was working prior to that, I was working in a tech startup in Singapore. And I came home, and pag-uwi ko, yung e-commerce scene dito, naghahanap ng mga taong marunong sa e-commerce. Pero syempre, bago pa yung e-commerce noon, so wala namang marunong talaga. Yeah. So they went with the next best thing, which is people that were in tech, that were interested in e-commerce. So that's how I kind of stepped into the retail space and into that e-commerce world. No? And in 2017, meron na namang Lazada, may Shopee, pero hindi pa siya masyadong sikat. Hindi pa kasing sikat as it is today.
Nagsisimula pa lang.
Nagsisimula pa lang, yes. So, may mga brands, may mga lumalago na yung negosyo at that time, pero hindi pa siya kasing exciting kumpara ngayon, no? Tapos eventually, I was able to work with a specific personal care brand, and we really grew them from having a low six figures na benta every month to a high 8 figures per month, no, at our height.
Per month, yun, 8 figures.
Yeah, sobrang possible yun sa e-commerce. At sa mga magagaling na e-commerce, kaya pa yan mag 9 figures per month. Yun.
So we heard about that you're building this Agile brand. No? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're building, what this Agile Brands is all about, and what you guys are doing at the e-commerce space?
Sure. So, nung pandemic, 2020, one of the things that we did to help our company survive the pandemic, but also because medyo ahead kami sa e-commerce nung time na yon, was we opened up a new service line kung saan tinutulungan namin yung ibang brands na kailangan pumunta sa online. Kasi nangyari nung pandemic, sarado lahat ng malls, sarado lahat ng retail, everybody was affected. And especially more older brands that really did not adopt e-commerce, and some new brands also that were seeing, there were layoffs and all these things. Madaming bagong brands na namuo nung pandemic times. That was what inspired Agile Brands. Kasi nung time na yon, we were working for big brands and small brands. And ako, yung puso ko, mas natuwa ako dun sa mga small brands. Yung talagang from zero na benta, nagiging 3,000 a month yung benta nila na orders. Tapos 10,000, tapos 30,000. Nakita namin kung paano mag-grow over the years. So when I decided to, do something different, I wanted to just focus on small brands. So when we started Agile Brands, the vision was really to help small brands accelerate and become big. Sinasalo na rin namin yung mga brands na medyo naghihingalo na. Meron kasing iba, napagod yung founder.
So, hindi lang basta mga new brands. Meron mga existing ones na kailangan i-revive.
Yes, correct. So, the goal is to help these brands start and thrive.
Okay.
Right? For two reasons, honestly. One is, we need more brands in the Philippines. There's a lot of brands coming into the country, a lot of, in all categories, from footwear to skincare to hair care, even food. Maraming pumapasok. Pero tayo, very few ang nilalabas natin. And yet, we have so much richness to share. And sayang naman. So first, we want to establish the brands here. And then second, we want to be able to bring them outside the country also.
Right, yeah. So I can remember that during the pandemic, yung onslaught ng pandemic na yun. Of course, nobody predicted pandemic from happening. And all of a sudden, brick and mortar businesses really need to reinvent themselves. How, sarado yung mga shops, no? So they really need to go online. Pero syempre, hindi lahat prepared to do that. Hindi porket may Facebook account ka, pwede ka namang benta agad-agad. There are many things that you need to learn and understand muna before you can really get your product online and, maging successful ka rin doon. So, which makes makes the Agile Brands business model really interesting because you're not building the business for yourself. You're building the business for others, helping them also grow, thrive, and be successful in this sabihin natin very dynamic and exciting na e-commerce business industry ngayon. So, in terms of what you do at Agile Brands, what makes Agile Brands different in how you help e-commerce businesses compared to the other options out there?
So, madalas tanongin sa akin, are we a marketing agency?
Yeah.
Okay. Kasi usually, when we talk about growing brands, sales, laging napupunta sa marketing.
Yes.
So, we are not a marketing agency, but we do marketing. So, one
of your offerings is marketing.
Yes.
Parang ganon. Okay.
Yes.
But you're not a marketing agency per se. Okay. So, clarify lang po natin yun.
Yeah. So, basically, we start sa strategy. Ano ba yung strategy ng brand? Yung growth strategy ng brand itself. And nagsa-start yon sa expertise ninyo. Actually, P&L and unit economics.
Yun. Kumbaga sa finance, ganon kami.
Doon nag-uumpisa. Doon sa kung paano yung pera. Siyempre, usually yung mga entrepreneurs, marami silang creative ideas, di ba, about their brands, about their products. May gusto silang punuan sa market. There's something that they want to bring that maybe they had a pain, they couldn't find it in the market, maybe what they found was not good enough, ganyan. Yun yung mga usual na start. But what we do is, we look at what is the real business potential of a brand, and if it's weak on some points, we help improve it.
Right.
So that covers literally everything from your brand design to your product assortment to sometimes manufacturing and supply chain, and yes, marketing, but also warehousing and logistics.
Dami na komplikado yun.
So essentially, we are a one-stop shop. Yun. But we don't do it on our own. We have partners. That's what allows us to be able to offer everything that a brand needs. Kasi meron kaming mga basics na kung anong kailangan nila. And then, yung mga additional, we work with partners that help deliver what they need.
Okay. So, kung halimbawa, meron akong brand, naisip ako, itong mug na to, paano yung magiging onboarding experience ko if ever? Paano kayo nag-onboard ng mga brands that you, or maybe picking, or meron ba kayong screening, mga ganun? Paano ba yun?
Yeah, definitely. So, dalawang klase yan. Either yung brand, nag-exist na, at tumatakbo na sa market, may benta na, or number 2, wala pa, idea pa lang ni entrepreneur. Doon sa brands na meron na sa market, ang una namin ginagawa is we do a brand audit. So we check first on the brand and marketing side, how well they're doing. Are they able to attract the right people? May mga bad reviews ba? Anong sinabi? Ano yung mga good na sinabi? Gaano kalaki yung mga nagiging benta niya, etc. So madaming metrics yan na pinag-aaralan natin. Tapos, tinitingnan din namin, next doon, is actually financial. Kamusta yung cost of goods nila? Kamusta yung
kung
cost
meron,
of operations?
Kung walang financial, ayun.
So, pagka wala, correct, madami yan. We look at unit economics.
Okay.
Kasi usually yon meron. Merong cost of goods, merong cost of sales, cost of marketing. Para magkaroon kami ng starting model. Kasi doon pa lang, nakikita na namin kung may problema. I remember maybe a year plus ago, we had this one seller. Hindi siya brand, seller siya ng mga products. No? Gusto niyang gumawa ng brand. Tinignan muna namin, paano niya binibenta or nire-resell yung mga produktong meron siya. So, let's say the product is fragrance at 200 pesos.
Okay.
Yung selling price. And ang buying price niya is usually mga 150. Yan. So, 25% lang yung kanyang kita dun from the buying price. Pero, ang ginawa niya, para mas attractive sa customer, is nilalagyan niya ng mga freebies. Okay? So, hindi naman masama ang freebie, nakakainganyo talaga yan sa buyer. Pero nung kwinenta namin, yung cost ng mga freebie, lagpas pa dun sa kinita niya, dun sa produkto.
So, negative margin pa siya.
Oo. Kaya lang, hindi niya napansin. Kahit na 1 million siya kada buwan na nakakabenta, hindi niya napansin na palugi pala yung benta niya. Kasi ang laki ng cash flow na pumapasok. So, dun pa lang nakita na namin may mali. Right? And then, we work on fixing it. At a 1 million sale, we were able to negotiate with her and yung supplier niya ng products na taasan yung margins niya. Kasi 1 million yung binibenta niya eh.
Right.
Diba? Sipin mo 1 million of a 200 peso product. Ilang units yun, diba?
Yeah.
So, tinitingnan namin lahat yan to identify ano yung mga entry points. So, depende sa brand, merong mga immediate, pwede natin gawin ngayon, tomorrow, plus 20-30% increase in sales agad. Tapos, merong iba na mas matagal, mas mabagal i-implement that really need 3 months, 6 months, 1 year to get started.
Okay.
Sa mga brands naman or entrepreneurs na gustong mag-umpisa, then doon tayo sa ideation. Ano ba talaga yung gusto niyang gawin? Ano yung commitment, personal time and money commitment na kaya niya ipasok sa negosyo para mapakita kung sound yung negosyong gusto niyang pasukan.
Right. Do you also help on, say, automation parts? Halimbawa, ako, brick-and-mortar business ako, wala pa akong idea on how to sell online. Hindi ko kilala sila Shopify, sila kung sino-sino. Do you assist also on that? Yeah,
so we work also, right now, mostly manufacturers. So, yung mga manufacturers na gusto ng sarili nilang brand, we help them na business to business lang yung negosyo nila, magkaroon sila ng direct-to-consumer din. Ayan. So, not so much automation, but just digitizing using digital sales. Sa ngayon kasi, kung ikaw nagbebenta ka sa retail ng sarili, by now, most of them already have some sort of e-commerce play. Yun. Yung iba, hindi magaling, hindi masyado malakas yung benta. Pwede naman kaming kausapin, of course. But most of the time, as of today, meron na silang digital sales channels.
Curious lang, kasi kami sa 1CFO, we have clients that are also into the e-commerce space. But of course, we only are looking or recording or maybe advising on the financials. Pero hindi namin nakikita yung mga hurdles, challenges talaga nitong mga owners ng mga e-commerce na to. So, my question now is, in your experience, no, ano yung mga common hurdles na nakikita mo sa mga bagong e-commerce brands when they are just starting out?
So, after about 8 years in e-commerce, I've come to realize na every year, there's a new set of challenges. Okay? Bakit? Kasi as e-commerce sellers or retailers, dependent tayo sa Lazada, sa Shopee, ngayon si TikTok, kay Facebook, kay Google. Pag may pinalitan sila, damay tayo. One of the biggest hurdles to staying is just keeping up with all of the changes. That's honestly one of the big things. Like, ito lang, 2 weeks ago, napansin ko yung ads na tinatakbo namin for one of our brands sa Facebook, parang bumaba ng performance. And kinailangan namin hanapin, ano yung metrics or ano yung aspect sa Facebook ads na nagbago. Ano yun? Ano dun? Ano dun yung nag-change? So, hiha-hunting namin yun. Minsan kasi, hindi loudly announced.
Hindi announced, okay.
Yeah. And then you also have the announced changes. Like, for example, recently, ang daming BIR-related changes that affect the e-commerce sellers from withholding taxes kay Lazada, Shopee, and TikTok. Si JNT may withholding tax na. Tapos, yung application of VAT on digital services. So, kung ikaw nag-ads ka sa Facebook or Google, kung dati yung 100,000 mo, pure ads yun. Ngayon, 112,000 na yung budget natin. Diba? So, lahat yan, kailangan sabayan. For me, that's the number one hurdle if you want to stay longer. The second is, the reality is, there's so much competition. Yun. Mahirap maging unique. So, sa mundo na mahirap maging unique, paano ang laban?
Paano nga ba?
Secret. No, just kidding.
Oo.
Para malaman yan, tumawag lang sa
Agile Brands.
so that's the magic of brands. We all are selling the same red lipstick, the same white sneaker, the same blue shirt. How do you make that unique and differentiated for your target customer? In reality and in marketing also.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Sa akin as a consumer, syempre ako as a guy, sobrang basic ko lang. Para sa akin, pareho lang ng lipstick. Hindi ko alam bakit ang preference ng iba is ganito, bakit ang preference ng iba is ganito. Pero para sa akin, lipstick lang siya. Siguro, yun nga, nagkakatalo na lang dun sa how they market it, no? And then how they package or maybe position that specific brand. So, kaya importante yung ma-enhance yung brand, no? And kung gusto po ninyo maging ganon, so you go to the Agile Brands. Charot. So, yan, may plug-in na. Beyond just getting started, let's talk about online stores naman. No? So, what are some of the unexpected roadblocks that can trip up even yung mga established online stores? Aside dun sa mga na-mention mo na Facebook, changes, ganyan.
Yung isa is yung complicated kasi yung movement ng pera sa e-commerce.
Right.
Para sa mga bumibili, hindi mo ramdam yun.
Hindi mo ramdam. Basta
Hindi mo ramdam.
swipe ka na, transfer ka na,
Nag-swipe
okay na.
ka na, nag-COD ka na, nag-pay later ka na, Shopee Pay, whatever. Madali lang yung part na yon, di ba? Pero, once na nagbayad na si customer, maraming steps bago makarating yung pera kay seller.
Yes.
What normally happens is that may tinatawag na leakage. So, when a customer places an order, let's say 1,000 para madali yung kwenta, no? 1,000 pesos yung order na yan. Yung order na yan, kailangan makarating muna kay customer bago ma-release yung pera kay seller.
Yes.
Okay. Now, pag yung pera na yan, for some reason, may issue. Kunwari, hindi na-deliver ni courier kay customer. Floating yan somewhere. Right? Hanggang sa ma-deliver ni courier. Paano kung hindi na-deliver ni courier? Ano mangyayari? Dapat bumalik yun kay seller. Paano kung hindi bumalik kay seller? Wala na. It's lost. So floating yung pera, floating din yung product. So talo si customer, talo rin si seller. So usually mangyayari sa situation na ganyan, mari-refund si customer kasi never bumalik yung item never pumunta yung item sa kanya. Kay seller naman, hopefully, mabalik sa kanya yung pera. But the reality is, most of the time, hindi. And if your store, if you're established and you have a lot of transactions, you may be losing anywhere from 5% to even 20% of your revenues because of logistical issues.
Ako, lalo pa sa Pilipinas.
Affecting your collections.
Oo. Lalo pa dito, di ba? Parang fragmented yung, islands. So, hirap nga ng logistics. Pangalawa, I don't know kung nabago na, pero nung nasa fintech pa ako, mas malaki yung COD
Mas malaki pa rin. In general, I think about 70% pa rin.
COD pa rin talaga. So, okay. Yeah. So, it's ngayon, eye-opener sa akin yan na meron parang leakage na 5% and up to 20%.
If you're, kunwari, handle mo sarili mong e-commerce sa Shopify or sa Facebook, ganyan, pwedeng higher yon. Kasi, kailangan i-reconcile bawat transaction. Iti-trace mo, na-deliver ba? Nakakollect ba si courier? Pinadala niya ba sa'yo? Kung hindi na-deliver, bumalik na ba sa'yo yung parcel? Right? So, may mga ganyan. And ang challenge is, kaya siya mahirap, hindi yung sabi natin, stumbling block. Kasi kung hindi mo binabantayan yon on a per transaction, per week basis, hindi mo alam yung 3 months ago na sale mo, hindi ka pa pala nakakakolekta. Kung hindi mo binantayan on a per transaction level, pwedeng nabawasan ka ng kita. At hindi mo na mahabol after the allowed dispute time.
Pero pag ini-imagine ko lang kapag sobrang dami niyan yung backlogs na i-clean up mo, i-reconcile mo. I mean, being an accountant at I can imagine gaano kay nightmare yung ganyan. Kaya importante na magkaroon sila talaga ng maayos na back-end na support, no? And yung, reconciliation systems nila on tracking, yung mga deliveries versus also yung cash payments, tsaka settlement sa kanila dapat.
Correct. Tsaka, by transaction.
By transaction.
At saka hindi naman pag niremit sa'yo, hindi naman by transaction ng remittance, bultuhan din.
Bultuhan din, oo. So, pag niremit sa'yo, iisa-isahin mo, ito para to dito, para kay A, para kay B, na transaction.
Tapos may mga sari-sariling withheld pa yun.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, pumasok pa yung mga bagong regulations ngayon ng withholding.
So it gets complex on that side. And if business owners don't watch that part, they could be making millions but losing hundreds of thousands at the same time without realizing.
Kasi mga naka-off P&L items to. Kasi hanggat hindi mo na di-discover na nawalan ka na pala ng 5% ng gross profit mo because may nawalang ganung transaction, hindi mo alam. So, it might bite you down the road na sobrang laki na niya. It's too late na for you to fix it. Na, akala mo kumita ka ng ganitong, sabi natin 50% margin, pero kinain pala ng 10% because of that leakage. So, magkano na lang? 40% na lang pala yung gross
tsaka,
profit.
minsan nakikita mo lang kasi mukha siyang inventory inaccuracy.
Oo.
Kasi doon yung parang, doon mo siya nakikita na parang, akala ko ba nakabenta na tayo ng ganito, pero bakit hindi tabla doon sa inventaryo na ganito? So usually, kaya siya nadidiscover pag nagtingin na nung inventory value held at saka sold.
Correct.
Kung bakit hindi tabla dun sa ibang numbers.
Speaking of inventory, kasi di ba sa mga marketplaces, medyo may iba yung cut-off nila. Naalala ko to, may isa kaming client na hirap na hirap kami mag-explain hindi man hirap na hirap mag-explain kay BIR, pero this is really happening on the e-commerce side of things, no? Na parang yung sale, parang
floating pa siya. Yeah.
Pero hindi pa naman na-receive talaga yung pera. But you have to pay the VAT na.
Correct. Yes.
So, it happens, no? So, I would say, is it safe to say na medyo common siya sa industry?
Yeah. And it affects maybe, again, depends dun sa kunwari, yung mga Lazada, Shopee, TikTok, the percentage affected is not so high kasi medyo mas automated, systematized na mga bagay-bagay. But I'd say easily 5% of orders would be affected. And then if you're, kunwari, mas nagbebenta ka through Facebook or Instagram or your own website, if you're not handling it well, pwedeng mga 20% yun. We've had cases where bago namin sila hawakan, sometimes umaabot ng 26-27%. So, yun lang, immediately, after 1 month, na-reduce na namin yun to 8. Kasi meron talagang natural, meron talagang natural, essentially, cost of doing business.
Yes.
So, talagang merong parts na magre-refund and return si customer, may parts na, failed talaga yung deliveries, may parts na talagang kailangan mo ng rework, ganyan. Pero we can bring that as low as possible. Yun. So, sana mga 3% na. Yun na yung pinaka pwede na.
Sige.
Malaki pa rin, pero pwede na yun.
Sa akin, 3%. Puti ko may CFO hat niya, medyo acceptable na siya. Para lang siyang transaction cost sa akin. Pero syempre, I mean, mas maganda kung sa papababa pa natin yun. Pero we also need to understand, merong mga inherent talaga na extra cost.
Yeah. And the good news is, that's better than like 5 years ago.
Talaga?
Yeah. Kasi, nag-mature na rin yung industry. Nag-improve na yung systems, yung deliverability ng couriers, yung transparency.
Dumami na rin kasi yung players sa third-party logistics. So,
nag-improve na rin. Sa lagay na yan, nag-improve na yan.
Yun. Okay. If you would rate siguro 1 to 10, yung 10 the highest, yung maturity ng e-commerce players or industry dito sa Pilipinas, how would you rate it?
Kung 10 yung pinaka-mature, I'd say we're still at a 3.
At a 3?
Because the most mature e-commerce territory is just Metro Manila and surrounding provinces.
Makes sense.
Yung ating Vismin, North Luzon, South Luzon, malayo pa. Madami pang potential. And meron tayong mga regional players that are maybe same volume as a Lazada or a Shopee, but just within their territory.
Right.
So, iba din yung e-commerce activities na nangyayari dun sa ating ibang regions, masalo na sa Vismin.
Kasi there are certain areas na hindi rin naman ma-reach out ng mga brands na yun.
Mabagal. Mostly mabagal. Kasi lahat ang concentration kasi natin ng logistics talagang dito sa Manila-based. So, pinakamabilis, galing dito palabas, Pero kunwari, let's say, taga Nueva Ecija ka, most likely, yung parcel mo na pupuntang Mindanao, imbis na dumiretso na sa Mindanao, pupunta munang Manila. Then from Manila, i-dispatch to Mindanao.
Oo.
So, may ganun tayong
I see.
Ayan.
Okay.
So, these are the unsexy parts of e-commerce that brand owners really need to be aware of kasi yan yung mga nag-i-impact dun sa real profit nila sa dulo.
Pero kapag naayos naman nila ito, assuming also through Agile Brands, ang laki rin naman ng upside sa kanila, di ba? Ako, I still do believe na tama ka, 3 out of 10 pa lang yung in terms of maturity. So there's a lot of room pa for potential dito. And I think that's a good opportunity also for Agile Brands to be in this space. So my next question is in relation to that kasi let's look looking ahead, So what do you think or what are yung mga nakikita mong new challenges that you see e-commerce brands that are needing to prepare for and how Agile Brands can help them in regards to that?
So I think like in the next 1 year, it still has to do with these kinds of financial conditions na ngayon lang may experience. So 2024 fiscal year is the first year that most e-commerce brands need to be more strict in its reporting and compliance. So malala magkakaalaman this year, pag nabalitaan na natin from BIR. I think that's the first one. And the anticipation is that it will continue to be more strict in protection also of consumers. Kasi unfortunately, nangyari din, marami ring nag-take advantage nung looseness ng system natin. At may mga hindi magandang nangyari sa consumers because of it. So, FDA is becoming more strict. DOTC is becoming more strict. Like, all the regulated products are becoming more strict as a result. Merong iba na talagang kahit gusto man nila mag-comply, it's just too difficult, too expensive. They are small brands. They cannot make small business, medium business level investments. Hindi pala small, they're micro brands. Technically, financially, they're still in the micro space. Yet, to comply, they need to be a small or medium business financially para makapag-comply, especially with things like manufacturing, etc. So, that's a plus and a minus. The brands that have the resources, that are following the rules and are compliant, that means na they will play with other brands that are of their level.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it becomes more barrier to entry for the new brands trying to come in kasi kailangan mas mataas yung standard of operation sa umpisa pa lang. And then, third is competition will continue to be there and continue to increase. Just this month, dahil dun sa recent na nangyari sa US na tariffs and all of that.
I was about to ask nga ano sa tingin mo yung mangyayari?
Nangyayari na. So what we're seeing is a mix of two things. Number one, as expected, more Chinese goods in our markets that are available. Number two, we're seeing foreign brands in Europe, Australia, Singapore, widen their global e-commerce targeting away from the US and into other countries.
Right.
So, our consumers here are also now being targeted by global e-commerce players kasi pwede naman silang mag-ship dito Wala namang issue yun Right? What that means for local brands is your level of competition just got even higher.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's easy for me as a buyer today to buy a 2,000 peso shoe made by artisans in Indonesia using genuine leather and have it shipped to me. My only cost is the 2,000 pesos that I spent plus a little bit of more waiting time kasi it needed time to travel from Indonesia to me. And yet, our sellers here, financially what they can do with genuine leather, similar quality, is probably going to be at 3,000 to 4,000 pesos.
Right.
For various reasons.
Yeah.
So, our consumers here will have access to same quality level products with same values. Let's say, yun nga, artisan made, ganyan. But at prices that might be more affordable compared to what is domestically available.
Right.
So this for me is the bigger risk. Yeah.
The more na kailangan nila si Agile Brands ngayon to stay afloat and to really thrive with this emerging competition. So it's not only local competition that we need to think about anymore. So there are other foreign players coming into play na because of the effect of the tariff nga. Okay.
So,
Sige. We have gone na into this, ngayon na namin po gagawin ito. So, una namin pauso sa season 2, the Let's Get Real question. No? So, ang gusto namin mangyari kasi dito sa podcast na to is totoo lang, no? So, walang cheche-bureche dito. We want to really be as transparent as possible. I'll ask you the let's get real question, no? So, Gita, what's one thing people often think will work when building a consumer product brand but actually sets them up for failure? Yung akala, okay to, pero hindi pala.
may isa lang ako sagot dyan.
Ano?
Discounting.
Discounting? Talaga? Oh, can you elaborate why?
Sure. So, in tracking, yung discounting, no? Dito sa, discount meaning lahat ng promo, lahat ng offer. Okay. What's happened is, there is a promo every 2 weeks. And ngayon, 3 times na nga in a month eh. Yung double-double, so 5-5, 6-6, 7-7. And then you have middle of month payday, 15. And then end of month payday, 30th. Okay. It happens now at retail and online. So that is a retail payday lang. Yung brick and mortar, no? Tapos ngayon, dahil sa online, eto na. Ayan. Tapos, not to mention, every, like, different brands, there's different sales happening every day on every platform. So, what a lot of young, new brands try to do coming into the market na hindi masyadong marunong sa branding is magta-try sila lumaban based on discount. Okay.
Para mas madami silang customers.
Correct.
Okay.
Yun. So, hindi naman masamang mag-discount, pero kung hindi mo alam yung talagang strategy mo for discounting, ang pwedeng mangyari is, masana yung customers mo na bibili lang sila pagka may discount. Kasi magdi-discount ka naman in 2 weeks.
Okay. So, may feast and famine cycle ka ngayon as a business owner.
So, walang bibili pagka regular price ka, aantayin nila pagka naka-sale ka. Yun. So,
yeah, agree.
So, kailangan i-handle yung discounting and promotional offers in a certain way that helps build the brand.
Yes, yes.
Merong mga brands na talagang ang strategy nila is discounting. Okay lang yun. Ibang mode yun. But people who are regulars for that brand, they also know that you are always on a discount.
Yeah.
So, wala ka ng off-discount, on-discount model. Talagang on-discount ka lang forever.
Which hurts your margins, of course.
Yes, so, potentially. Pero parang kung Daiso, di ba? Lagi naman yung low price eh.
Right.
So, or yung iba na discount stores na laging discounted. Yun na yung actual price nila. Naka-present lang siya na as a discount. So, that's one thing na common yan, very common na, paano tayo mag-i-increase ng benta? Mag-promotion tayo, mag-discount tayo. Yan lagi yung ginagawa. But I remember a mentor from long ago saying na, the day you have to do a discount is the day that the business is in trouble. Yan, ganyan ang sabi. That's the only time you should be doing a discount.
Saka ang hirap din kasing bawiin, no? Pag nasanay na yung customer mo na may discount, parang, bawiin ko ito, mawalan ako ng customer. Parang ganyan. Nangyari sa amin yan sa One CFO. Pero I took that hard pill na, hindi, sige, stop na natin to. Pero okay naman. Margins are way better now, I would say.
It takes a little bit of time lang para lang mag-adjust yung especially sa retail, para lang mag-adjust yung market na you're not doing the same level of discounting.
Yeah.
But a little bit of time, honestly, is about 30 days to 2 months. Yun.
Tsaka sa tingin ko as a consumer, nabublur din kasi yung brand loyalty kasi parang ang nangyayari, people are just buying you because of the discount. But it's not really, you're not really creating some brand loyalty to your customers. So, para sa akin parang, if I'm a consumer, kung I really like that product, may discount man yan o wala, bibiling ko yan eh. Yan yung gusto natin na mangyari, di ba? Sige. Alright, sige. So, last question na lang, Gita, no? Sa mga listeners at sa mga watchers natin ngayon who are feeling overwhelmed by these roadblocks, challenges in setting up their brands, no, in the e-commerce space, what's one encouraging message that you'd like to share about the potential of their e-commerce brand with the right support?
The right support doesn't cost too much. One of the heartbreaking things that we've seen in Agile is when we meet brands that are on its last legs. Okay. Bakit? Kasi yung mga marketing agency or persons na katrabaho nila, sobra naman silang maka-charge at wala pang nabigay na benta. Yung mga fulfillment providers, ang lakas na nga na charge, ang taas din ng violations and cancellations.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't cost you that much. It shouldn't cost you the future of your brand. The thing that I would like to encourage is that, honestly, if you are enterprising, a lot of these things you can figure out on your own. But if you are struggling to figure it out on your own, you can reach out to us sa Agile. Lahat ng areas pwede naming pag-usapan. Okay. We might not be able to serve every single area, but we have people in our network that have touched your product or your category of goods in general. Yun. Tapos, yung mga tao naman na alam kung saan sila magaling. Yung alam na alam nila kung saan sila magaling. Huwag nyo nang piliting alamin yung hindi kayo magaling.
Yeah.
Yun yung mga bagay na dapat ipasa nyo na sa iba. They will be more effective at it than you. And when we do that, we can scale the brand better. Our best performing brands are those that the founders of the brands, they know exactly what they're good at, and we give them the time to do more of what they're good at. Because we take care of everything else that is mostly, honestly, a bother to them and them growing their business.
Wow.
Yun.
Wow. Ang ganda nun. So, focus on your strengths talaga. And let somebody else na hindi mo strength, yung may strength doon, yun yung gumawa nun, no? Yun yung mag-handle nun. Which is tama naman. Kasi ako as a founder, I also know my strengths and my weaknesses. And if I do have time to work on my weaknesses, pwede naman. Kaya lang, parang yung focus mo rin kasi nawawala. Yung attention mo nawawala. So yung time is of the essence. Yan yung something na tayo as founders is very important. Once na, of course, yung energy din natin, we have really to spend it to the mga right matters, no, moving forward. Sige. Alright, so huge thanks to Gita. Thank you so much, Gita, for guesting in our maiden episode dito sa Kwentuhan Podcast Season 2. And thank you for sharing the insight, straight truth, and those incredible, valuable insights. So mga kakwentuhan, we hope you pick up practical tips na makakatulong sa pagninegosyo ninyo. Remember, ang challenges ay parte ng pagninegosyo, and we're here to help you in every step of the way. So please like, follow, and subscribe para mas marami pa po tayong matutunan at mas marami pa tayong ma-educate na fellow kakwentuhan natin. So hanggang sa muli, this is Kwentuhan Podcast Season 2, Real Stories, Real Solutions for Real Growth. Ciao!